Throughout the history of humanity, people were trading, exchanging, acquiring stuff, and well, just wanted to get rich. This would be hardly possible if humanity didn't drive to the conclusion that they need something that can be used as a universal, more or less, exchanger for their goods. Fantasy worlds are not an exception. As far as they are built on our real world, let's talk about money, how to design a currency for your story, or well, video game, and the basics you need to have in mind when creating it. But before we start, greetings stranger. My name is Katy, I'm a fantasy writer, narrative game designer, so here we talk about fantasy, books, games, whatever fall into this category, so if you like it, you're highly welcome here. Every fantasy universe needs currency. Money is a measure by which we determine the value of a particular item. We are all different with different values and understanding of value. In terms of successful communication, by that I mean trade-in relationships, of course, like labor valuation also, we need to have a measure. Our relationship with money, or better say the concept of money, has evolved over time. The same can be said about the perception of money depending, well, on our culture and historical background. The same can be applicable to your fantasy world. The money shouldn't be the first thing you create for your universe. It's simply because money is the consequence, the result of the worldview and its vision. And if we started talking about concepts, let's take a closer look at this. First of all, think of your universe and answer one question. What counts as currency trade in your fantasy world? To answer this question, you first need to establish values for your society. Is it precious metals, or maybe magical ore, or maybe the essence of magic itself? Look at your map, if you have one, and try to define what are the valuable resources of this or that country are. And then think of the stage of the progress of your country or continent. Do they have technology that allows them to produce money, or it has rather primitive social structure? The answer will lead us into two possible scenarios. First, bartering, when the society is not highly developed. The basic model for it will be probably bartering, and it doesn't mean, though, that if you will have coins, bartering will not exist, but it's rather the definition of how people in your fantasy world see the value of goods and skills. Before currency, bartering and trade were the main ways of acquiring goods and services. If you're writing a fantasy novel set in early or like medieval period, you may only need items of value to trade with. One person would trade his goods for another person's goods. For example, wool for wood. In this way, everyone acquired the supplies they need. Coinage. Eventually, societies outgrow bartering. Carrying 3 sheep to buy a sword is inconvenient. That's where coinage comes in. In fantasy setting, coins are the ultimate world-building tool. They aren't just metal. Coins are also a reflection of the culture and history of the society. Like, does it have a face of the king, or I don't know, some magical stuff, or unicorn? When they dethroned the old king, how quickly did they change the type of money they use? When designing coins, think about the mint. Who has the power to strike them? A central empire or every local lord? The material, gold and silver are like classics, but what if your world has a rare metal? That would make those coins worth more than their weight in gold. The names also. Remember the golden rule of the fantasy genre: names carry power. I mean, nothing stops you from naming your currency like a penny or gold piece, but the proper name can give a certain flavor to your world. But wait, does it have to be metal? If you're set in a desert world or a deep-sea civilization, metal might be useless or non-existent. Consider these alternatives like natural items, I don't know, rare seashells, polished monster teeth, or even specific seeds. Paper and credit. If your world has a powerful banking guild, characters might carry like promissory notes, essentially like I owe you papers. The intangible. Maybe you pay with time or memories or whatever come into your mind. Beyond just buying a health potion and showing in one episode how hard is the life of your main character, why does your currency exist? Like, Seriously, think about it for 2 minutes. What people, not only the main character, need money for? Standardization. It allows a merchant from the north to trade with a seller from the south, or like to control. For example, governments use money to tax their people. If you control the currency, you control the kingdom. Or progression. In games, money is a clear marker of growth. I usually categorize fictional money into three types, like physical coins, gems, bars, something physical, representative like paper money or tokens. Functional. The currency is the resource. In Fallout, it's bottle caps, for example. When you sit down to design your currency, start with the culture and the history. Money is a mirror. It shows what a society fears, what it worships, and what it lacks. If water is the currency, you know immediately that the world is a desert. And that's it for today. Hope it was useful, and if so, don't forget to put like and subscribe to my channel. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts on currencies, like have you had this experience of developing any currencies for your universe? How was it? And well, all this stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next episodes. Bye!